Naruto, Hyuga member Awakens godly Tenseigan. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 111. After solving the tsunami, Hyuga Chen turned around and went back to the place where he traded with Cloud Shinobi. Cloud Shinobi was gone. In fact, after Hyuga Chen flew into Eight Tails, Cloud Shinobi had already retreated. Hyuga Chen, who turned on Tenseigan chakra mode, was too strong. Although AI took the Cloud Shinobi troops far away, they were still blown by Hyuga Chen's fist wind, and hundreds of Cloud Shinobi were blown to death by the fist wind. AI freaked out at this scene, took advantage of Hyuga Chen's departure, and hurriedly carried third Raikage on his back, beckoning the Cloud Shinobi troops to escape. Did not see Cloud Shinobi, Hyuga Chen didn't care, dismissed Tenseigan chakra mode, and then returned to Konoha Station. When Hyuga Chen returned to Konoha Station, he found that the atmosphere was a bit wrong, but Hyuga Chen didn't care, and went straight back to his residence. "Brother Chen, you are back. Someone was looking for you before." Conan ran over and threw himself into Hyuga Chen's arms. "Someone is looking for me?" Hyuga Chen was a little confused, then looked at the shadow clone next to him, and the shadow clone nodded, then turned into smoke and disappeared. And Hyuga Chen received the memory of shadow clone and knew who was looking for him. It was Konoha white-fanged Hatake Tsukumo. "I didn't expect him to come here too. Is it because of the Sarutobi family and the Shimura family?" Hyuga Chen muttered softly. This is the only reason Hyuga Chen can think of. Because there is room for teleportation, Hyuga Chen shuttles between the two battlefields at will, knowing that the battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain is not very well. The situation on the battlefield in the Kingdom of Rain can only be said to be fairly stable, and it is still inseparable from the high-end combat power of Hatake Shimo, but now Hatake Shimo is here, naturally there is a reason. Although he knew that Hatake Shimo was looking for him, Hyuga Chen didn't take the initiative to see him. It is estimated that Hatake Shimo will be there soon. Now that he knew that Hatake Tsukumo would come, naturally there was no need to see him. Sure enough, within 5 or 6 minutes, Hatake Tsukumo found him. "Isn't Hatake-senpai in the battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain? Why are you here now?" Hyuga Chen asked knowingly. Hatake Tsukumo had a serious face, staring at Hyuga Chen with sharp eyes, and asked word by word, "I want to know how the ninjas of the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan died." Haha. Hatake Sr. asked this question a little bit nutritious. "How can I die on the battlefield? Of course I died in battle." Hyuga Chen said with a smile. "Your compatriot is dead, you can still laugh." Hatake said in a low voice. "Oh. Actually, I was sad a few days ago, and even cried several times because of this, but these days I also understand that people cannot come back to life after death, so we must face all this optimistically and cheerfully. Their deaths are not in vain, but very valuable. Without their sacrifice, Cloud Shinobi would have hit Konoha now. They are all heroes of the village, and the village will remember their dedication." Hyuga Chen pretended to be sad, and even wiped away tears that did not exist. Conan, who sat next to him, looked at Hyuga Chen, and immediately covered his mouth with his hands, for fear that he would laugh out loud. "Hyuga Chen." Hatake Shumao's face turned cold, and then said, "I heard that they died because of you." "What?" Hyuga Chen slapped the table and stood up in shock. Who did Hatake listen to? Hyuga Chen looked very angry. Then he said indignantly, "This must be the news spread by Cloud Shinobi. Knowing that it can't beat us, spread false news. It's really a ruthless method to make us unrest. I didn't expect Cloud Shinobi's muscular heads to have such a scheme. It is really shameless." Hatake Tsukumo's face was getting colder and colder, and the tea in front of him was frozen. The ninja who killed the ninja in his own village is unforgivable. I hope you can confess your guilt, so that you can reduce the penalty. Senior Hatake, it seems that you believe that I killed the ninjas of these two families. Do you have any evidence? All the people on the battlefield are witnesses. Hyuga Chen's face turned cold. "You let them come and confront me. Hyuga Chen, don't make mistakes again and again, go to Master Naruto to ask for your sins, Master Naruto will read your credit for your merits, and you may be treated lightly. Frankly be lenient, sit down in prison, resist strict, go home for the new year." You shouldn't have heard the words. Hyuga Chen said lightly. "So you are admitting that it is you? Okay, Hatake Sr., if there is nothing wrong, you can leave. We still have to eat." Hyuga Chen interrupted Hatake Tsukumo's words, and then issued an order to evict the guests. Hatake Tsukumo's words were held in his heart, extremely uncomfortable. "I'll leave first, I hope you can think about it." Hatake stood up angrily and left. When he walked to the door, Hatake Tsukumo turned his head and looked at Hyuga Chen and said, "Now I will replace you as the commander of the battlefield." One more thing, what about third rakeage? Run. Hyuga Chen said lightly. Looking deeply at Hyuga Chen, Hatake turned and left. When he came, third Hokage had instructed him not to have too much conflict with Hyuga Chen. Hyuga Chen shrugged and didn't care about the position of a commander. He had no interest at all. Brother Chen, are you okay? Conan asked, slightly worried. It's okay, strength decides everything, let's go. Let's see if Makoto has cooked food. Hyuga Chen picked up Conan, and a space teleported into the house. It smells so good. Makoto, what do you do? Hyuga 630 Chen smelled a scent just when he came here. If you and Conan come here a little later, we will start eating, and we won't wait for you. Kushina said, dissatisfied. The food has been ready for a while. Kushina smelled the scent and her gluttonous saliva came out, and wanted to taste it secretly, but Makoto was watching by the side, not letting her eat it, not to mention how depressed it was. Hatake Tsukumo has been sent to the battlefield with Cloud Shinobi. Didn't trouble you? Tsunade asked softly. Looking for me, but it's not a big deal, at most leaving Konoha, it seems good to be a betrayal. Hyuga Chen said indifferently, then peeled a prawn and put it in a Conan bowl. Thank you, Brother Chen. Conan squinted happily. When you moved the Sarutobi family and the Shimura family, why didn't you start secretly? Why did you kill them in front of everyone? Tsunade said slightly reproachfully. Cut. How embarrassing it is to sneak sneakily. Hyuga Chen said, curling his lips. Eat first. Let's talk about it after eating, otherwise the food will be cold for a while. Mikoto said softly. Yeah. Is there something you can't say for a while? I have to say it at the dinner table. Kushina said. After eating, Mikoto went to clean the dishes. Conan also ran to the kitchen to help. Kushina was lying on the tatami with her stomach, and was eating. Hyuga Chen lay comfortably beside Kushina. Episode 112, You two are really lazy. Tsunade looked at Hyuga Chen and Kushina, and said. Sister Tsunade, you are not qualified to talk about us. Kushina squinted at Tsunade, who was lying on the table. What are you going to do? Third generation and Danzo won't let go. Tsunade asked Hyuga Chen. It's okay, anyway, they won't trouble me now, wait until the war is over. Hyuga Chen said indifferently. Now that Konoha is hitting 4, he will definitely not give up his super combat power, but after the war is over, it is not necessarily the case. But it is still too early before the end of the war. If Hyuga Chen does not take action, the war will last for at least 4 or 5 years. Do whatever you want. Tsunade lay on the table and said lazily. Mikoto walked out of the kitchen, looked at this scene, and shook his head helplessly. After chatting with Mikoto and the others for a while, Hyuga Chen left. Instead of returning to the battlefield of Cloud Shinobi Village, he went to the logistics department. Nawaki. Hyuga Chen called to Nawaki, who was busy. Chen, why are you here? Didn't you go to the battlefield of Cloud Shinobi? Nawaki felt very surprised when he saw Hyuga Chen. You Senju clan, only these few are left? Hyuga Chen stretched out his hand and pointed at the 3 or 2 people next to him. Nawaki's original excited expression immediately lowered. We were attacked by Sand Shinobi before, so they. Hyuga Chen shook his head, and then called Nawaki out to speak. Although Nawaki was puzzled, he still followed Hyuga Chen out. Chen, you are very majestic now. You can hear your name on the entire battlefield, and even the surrounding ninjas want you to be Naruto. I really envy you. Nawaki said enviously. Don't be envious, I came to see you on business. Hyuga Chen shook his head, then stretched out his hand and patted Nawaki's head. A mark appeared on Nawaki's forehead, and then disappeared invisibly. What are you doing, Chen? It hurts me to death. Nawaki covered his forehead with both hands. Give you a life-saving thing, don't be dissatisfied. What life-saving thing? Nawaki stared at Hyuga Chen with wide eyes. Hyuga Chen and Nawaki glanced at each other. Tenseigan's light gleamed, then returned to normal, and then smiled and said, You'll know after a while. Now you can go as much as you want to ensure that you won't die. In Nawaki's eyes, Hyuga Chen used the transliteration seal to implant the pupil technique Takatenhara technique, and also placed a trigger space imprint on his body. After the trigger, Nawaki can be teleported to a specific space. Okay, go back. I'm leaving first. Hyuga Chen waved his hand to Nawaki, then turned and left. Nawaki looked at Hyuga Chen inexplicably. He didn't know what he was doing, so he left just like an anticlimactic. Didn't you have something to tell him? After giving Nawaki's life card, Hyuga Chen took Conan and Mikoto and their 3 daughters to bid farewell. and teleported back to the Tanakuni Cloud Shinobi battlefield with space. After that, Hyuga Chen didn't even go to the battlefield and stayed in his own residence, either teaching Conan to practice or practicing sage mode by himself, becoming the most leisurely one on the battlefield. Father, Hyuga Chen has not been on the battlefield for a long time, and now the commander on the battlefield is also Konoha White Fan Hitaki Sakumo. Is there something wrong with Konoha? It should be, but I saw with my own eyes that Hyuga Chen killed Sarutobi and Shimura's ninjas in front of everyone. Third Reikage nodded. If Konoha's infighting, we might have a chance. Third Reikage eyes flashed. Now Cloud Shinobi is most afraid of Hyuga Chen. When Hyuga Chen uses Tenseigan chakra mode, they are already scared. If Hyuga Chen really makes a move, they may have to surrender. The opponent has already exceeded the limit, and they have no hope of victory at all. We can't be careless. Let's test with Konoha first to see if Hyuga Chen really doesn't make a move. Third Reikage still feels that it is better to be careful. After that, Third Reikage led an elite team to continuously launch sneak attacks on Konoha, causing Konoha's ninja to suffer heavy casualties. Although White Fang has played against Third Reikage several times, he is not an opponent at all. In terms of speed, power, or defense, Third Reikage is better than White Fang. What should I do if I can't fight? White Fang can only go to Hyuga Chen, but Hyuga Chen has no time now. His sage mode has been practiced to the most critical time. White Fang touched the ash of his nose, and had to lead Konoha's troops to shrink up. The two battlefields are now in a stalemate, and no one has an absolute advantage. Now we are fighting a war of attrition, to see who can't hold on first. In a blink of an eye, a year passed, and the war lasted for more than a year. At this time, the battlefield had entered a white-hot state, and even the newly graduated genin was sent to the battlefield. In this year's time, Hyuga Chen finally successfully learned Sage Mode. Although he could not enter Sage Mode instantly, it takes more than 10 seconds to accumulate energy, but Hyuga Chen is already very satisfied. After Hyuga Chen entered Sage Mode, there was no fairy facial makeup on his face, but a blue lightning mark appeared on his forehead, and a golden light coat appeared on his body. Hyuga Chen feels pretty good, at least better than that messy facial makeup, and feels a little more handsome after using Sage Mode. Sometimes Hyuga Chen is sighing, how hot and handsome he is, how can other men live? After being narcissistic, Hyuga Chen went to the battlefield as AB********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Shinobi ********D on the battlefield. After entering the battlefield, Hyuga Chen found a place to sit. The opponent was completely afraid to trouble him, and even deliberately avoided the place where Hyuga Chen was. I don't understand why the other party is so afraid of you. Yamanaka Hai said silently. That's because they have bright eyes. I just need to stand here, even if I don't shoot, they will be able to see my extraordinary. It seems that the enemy is extraordinary. Hyuga Chen shook his head narcissistically. Hyuga Chen took his old classmates to sit in the center of the battlefield. Within a kilometer, no cloud shinobi dared to approach. Is it a bit bad for us to sit here like this? Akamichi Denza scratched his head and said. What's wrong, do you want to die? Look around. Ninjas who are so much stronger than you don't die in minutes. Hyuga Chen curled his lips and taught Conan to learn ninjutsu. Conan's talent is very good. Now he can use ninjutsu. Unfortunately, Conan doesn't have many chakras, and can only release a few sea-level ninjutsu at most. Because Conan does not have a special blood limit, there are not many chakras, just the amount of chakra for ordinary ninjas. For ordinary ninjas, chakra needs to be saved. It can't be compared with Hyuga Chen, who has sage body. Chakra is like a vast ocean, and can be enlarged at will. Episode 113. Although Hyuga Chen did not make a move, his deterrence is still great. Now Konoha has been defeated by Cloud Shinobi steadily, but Cloud Shinobi dare not push too hard. Even if he wins on the frontal battlefield, Cloud Shinobi dare not directly attack Konoha's camp. After the battle lasted for half a time, Jin couldn't hold on to Konoha's side and began to retreat. Seeing that it was about to retreat, Hyuga Chen stood up and patted his butt, and then said, "Retreat, let's go back." Pulling Conan and leaving under the watch of Cloud Shinobi, the three of Narashika-Hiza, Yamanaka Keiichi, and Akamichi Teza hurriedly followed. Cloud Shinobi looked like a wolf and tiger, and they panicked when they saw it. Chen, why are they so afraid of you? Nara Lugio asked curiously, looking at Cloud Shinobi, who was blazing in his eyes, but was afraid to take a step forward. Because I am strong. Hyuga Chen chuckled lightly. Soon after returning to the residence, White Fan brought clan chief Hyuga to look for him. Now Konoha's situation is very bad. Cloud Shinobi has a large number and strong strength. Now Konoha is about to be unable to hold on. The new generation of pig deer butterflies who have never grown up are on the battlefield, and you know how bad Konoha's situation is. Hatake Sr., Hyuga Patriarch, I don't know why 027 came to me. You have seen Konoha's situation now. Konoha is very critical now. I hope you can take action. Bai Fong didn't talk nonsense, and went straight to the subject. The current situation does not allow him to talk too much nonsense. Fighting with the three big countries, a small country second only to the big country, even the rich fire country, can't fight it. It can be said that Konoha is dying chronically now, and when the national power is completely exhausted, Konoha will be finished. Moreover, the daimyo of the country of fire also added a blockage at this time, causing their resources to shrink a lot, making Konoha more and more difficult. Yeah. I hope you can help Konoha, and it can be considered as a help to Hyuga's family. Chief Hyuga also asked. Hyuga Chen was silent for a while, and then said, for the Hyuga family's sake, I will take action. If Hatake Tsukumo came by himself, Hyuga Chen would let him go if he didn't say a word, but the patriarch Hyuga also came, Hyuga Chen couldn't do that. Although Hyuga Chen's life in Hyuga's family was not satisfactory and was ridiculed, but the necessary resources, the Hyuga family did not lose their own, and Hyuga Chen passed the weakest childhood smoothly. Period. The most basic gratitude is Hyuga Chen. Now that the Hyuga Patriarch is here, Hyuga Chen will naturally give a face. But this kind of face is only once. Chief Hyuga breathed a sigh of relief. He understood the ridicule Hyuga Chen received in the Hyuga family. He thought that Hyuga Chen didn't hate the Hyuga family. It was good. He didn't expect Hyuga Chen to give him a face. This made Chief Hyuga feel much honored. After chatting for a while, White Fang and Chief Hyuga left with a smile on their faces. Hyuga Chen promised them to take action, but also let the commander White Fang breathe a sigh of relief. The situation on the Cloud Shinobi battlefield is indeed not good. The main reason is that his white teeth are not the opponent of Third Raikage. Third Raikage is like his nemesis, and his Hatake sword skills can't cut Third Raikage at all. Moreover, in terms of speed, he was crushed by Third Raikage. White Fang has not been killed by Third Raikage. He is already powerful. Third Raikage has high defense, strong attack, and fast speed. Apart from the unknown illusion resistance, it has almost no shortcomings. It is indeed very powerful. It is a pity that it is a tragedy to encounter the perversion of Hyuga Chen. On the second day, Hyuga Chen stood directly at the forefront of Konoha's troops, making the opposite Third Raikage's heart startled. Third Raikage, after being arrogant for so long, have you forgotten the fear of being dominated by me? Now let you remember it. Rock Giant. Hyuga Chen made a seal with both hands and patted the ground. The earth began to tremble, a huge rock arm stretched out from the ground, and then the head, body, and feet all emerged from the earth and stood in the center of the battlefield. The rock giant is 100 meters tall, comparable to Susanoo, and can absorb the energy of the earth to repair himself. As long as he stands on the earth with his feet, he will never lose. Iwaden is when Hyuga Chen was boring. The blood succession bound out of Hyuga Chen is a combination of earth style and Yongdun, which is much more powerful than earth style. Although this rock giant seems to have similar abilities to Tenseigan's big stone statue, there is still a slight gap. The big stone statue summoned by Tenseigan can be restored continuously as long as the caster is undefeated, while the rock giant can't be restored as long as it leaves the ground and is smashed. However, the rock giant is still very strong. If you want to defeat the rock giant, you must knock the rock giant into the air, and then break it to pieces, before the rock giant hits the ground. To a certain extent, this rock giant is actually more perverted than Susanoo. Susanoo needs to be repaired by chakra after being destroyed. However, unless the rock giant is completely solved, any damage can be repaired by itself, and it can consume you. Except for the large amount of chakra that needs to be consumed when releasing, the rock giant will become self-sufficient and can be called a perpetual motion machine. Looking at the tall rock giant, Cloud Shinobi's face changed wildly. This kind of thing that can cause an earthquake anyway. If you break into a crowd, you can trample a large area to death. Roar. The rock giant roared, and then stepped on the ground with one foot, and a deep crack spread toward Cloud Shinobi. Dodge. Third Raikage yelled. Although Third Raikage had been reminded in time, the crack spread too fast, and many Cloud Shinobi fell. Before they could rescue the person, the crack closed suddenly, and the fallen Cloud Shinobi would sleep in the ground forever. Third Raikage was staring at it. Konoha's camp is full of excitement, and Hyuga Chen's shot made them confident. The rock giant stepped towards Cloud Shinobi, each step trembling with a big earthquake. Standing at the back, Hyuga Chen frowned. The rock giant's movement speed was a bit slow. It seems that the practicability of this rock giant will be greatly reduced. Hyuga Chen shook his head. This kind of speed is basically useless to deal with the strong, because it can't hit people at all. It seems that if you want to find a way to improve it, you can't just give it up like this. This Yandun is still the first blood succession boundary developed by Hyuga Chen himself, so Hyuga Chen naturally didn't want to let it be so useless. While Hyuga Chen was thinking about it, Third Reikage had already used Hell Stab Forbans to violently smash a leg of the rock giant. But what made Third Reikage desperate was that almost the moment he broke, the rock giant recovered. Fortunately, the fast moving of the rock giant gave Third Reikage some comfort. Stop it for me, I'll block it. The Third Reikage fist and the giant fist of the rock giant met, and then Third Reikage threw it away, and the rock giant stepped back a few steps. Episode 114. Although the rock giant was powerful, it was blocked by Third Reikage alone because of the speed. Brother Chen, this big guy seems a bit weak, Conan said with his head tilted. Ahahaha. Hyuga Chen laughed awkwardly, and then said, I have found a way, and soon this big guy will fly into the sky. Under the control of Hyuga Chen, the rock on the rock giant collapsed, as if about to collapse. Third Reikage froze for a moment. Has Hyuga Chen lifted this ninjutsu? But the rock giant has not been relieved. After the rock collapsed, the originally strong rock giant has now become a stickman form, thinning into a stick. At this time, the rock giant walked like flying, faster than Susanoo, a few steps came to Third Reikage, and then hit it with a punch. Third Reikage smiled disdainfully, this speed is indeed faster, but the same attack power and defense power will be reduced. Third Reikage entwined the thunder and lightning, and greeted the rock giant's fist without any fear. But what Third Reikage didn't expect was that the rock instantly returned to the rock giant, turning into a strong rock giant again, and spitting out blood with a punch to the unsuspecting Third Reikage. Third Reikage, who fell on the ground, spouted a few mouthfuls of blood, and looked at the rock giant in disbelief. At this time, the rock giant once again turned into a stickman-like speed form. Small, it can't cure you, Hyuga Chen said with a smile. The rock giant who can change its form asks you if you are afraid. In this way, the rock giant will not be so useless, and can also be used to deal with the strong. Rock-done rock cage. Numerous rock railings rose from the ground to form a huge spherical cage, enclosing 3,000 Cloud Shinobi. 3,000 Cloud Shinobi was completely trapped inside, after which the rock railing changed into sharp stone blades, and the entire cage began to shrink continuously. This is the ninjutsu created by Hyuga Chen imitating Doflamingo's birdcage, but it turns from a sharp line into a sharp rock blade. I will leave the rest to you, Hyuga Chen said to White Fang. Hyuga Chen has already trapped half of Cloud Shinobi's combat power. If Konoha still fails, then just surrender. Hatake nodded, then looked at the rock cage, frowned, and said, Is this too cruel? Then I will let them out, and then you will take someone to fight by yourself. Hyuga Chen glanced at Hatake Sakumo, and said lightly. Hatake Shumao is speechless. Damn it. Third Reikage, who was hit by the rock giant again, looked at the rock cage, and the anger in his heart was ignited. He wanted to rush to rescue the people inside, but was stopped by the rock giant. Because of his impatience, he took a few punches and was severely injured. He could only watch the shrinkage of the rock cage. Don't be afraid, let's attack together and smash this cage. A quasi-shadow from Cloud Shinobi Village shouted. Hearing his shout, the turbulent Cloud Shinobi trapped in the cage also calmed down and began to attack the shrinking rock blade. But what made them desperate was that they couldn't move at all. These rock blades were much harder than steel, and the kunai and ninja swords in their hands were all cracked. Even the lightning style that restrained earth style had no effect on these rock sword, making the ninjas trapped in despair. Every inch of this rock cage shrinks, they can survive 1 point less. This feeling of being unable to wait for death broke their hearts, and some people even had suicidal thoughts. Death is not terrible. What's terrible is watching oneself slowly go towards death, but oneself does nothing. How could you just wait for death and break it to me? Boom. The indestructible rock blade shattered, but before Cloud Shinobi was excited, he quickly healed, and the contraction speed doubled again. Laugh. The first ninja who was dismembered by a rock blade appeared, and then it was like cutting wheat. Some people kept falling down, and there were no corpses left. In the blink of an eye, more than 1,000 deaths, not even a complete corpse were left. Stay. No, stop me. 2 lines of tears flowed from Third Reikage's eyes, and the thunder surrounded his body, like a thunder god descending into the world, frantically attacking the rock giant that hindered his footsteps. Hyuga Chen, why are you so cruel and why? Third Raikage yelled, his voice could be heard throughout the battlefield, and the sorrow in his voice could be heard even more. Hyuga Chen, I beg you to let them go. They still have families, and their families are still waiting for them to go back. I can exchange my life for theirs, I beg you. The sturdy Third Raikage stopped attacking and fell to his knees, looking at Hyuga Chen pleadingly. The fist of the rock giant stopped, the original shrinking rock cage also stopped, and the fighting on the battlefield stopped. All eyes were focused on Third Raikage. Master Raikage. Cloud Shinobi looked at Third Raikage, who was kneeling on the ground with red eyes. Master Raikage doesn't care about us. It doesn't matter if we die. We at Cloud Shinobi Village are greedy for life and fear of death. Yes, why bother to that cruel and despicable guy? My father. AI clenched his fist, and his father, who had never bowed his head, was actually kneeling to someone else. This is the battlefield. It has always been you and me. Don't start a war if you are afraid of death. Since you are participating in a war, you must be prepared for death. Begging for mercy will only look down on me. Hyuga Chen chuckled, then his face became cold, and he stretched out his hand to hold it, and the originally stopped rock cage instantly shrank to a point. 3,000 Cloud Shinobi were not spared, and blood was flowing on the battlefield. Third Raikage's pupils shrank sharply, with grief and hatred on his face. Why, they are all ordinary ninjas, there is no threat to you at all, why did you kill them cruelly? Third Raikage asked frantically. 3,000 Cloud Shinobi turned into a dead body in front of him. How did he explain to the villagers, how to explain to their families, how to be worthy of his position as Raikage? You know my strength, but you continue to fight Konoha for the luck and benefit in your heart. All of this is entirely your own responsibility. If you choose to retreat and surrender, they will not die. Heaven's sin is forgiven, if you do one's own sin, you cannot live. Hyuga Chen said lightly. This is not a reason for you to kill those who don't resist. A reason is such a thing, if you want it, I can give you hundreds of them at will, do you need it? Hyuga Chen said with a sneer. Weakness is the original sin. If they have the strength to resist me, will they be killed? This is the rule of this world. Hyuga Chen, it sounds so nice, but you are actually making excuses for killing. You have no humanity at all. You are a bloodthirsty demon. AI glared at Hyuga Chen and said. Ha 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 ha, don't put yourself on the right side, you want to prove that I am a badass, a demon, yes. As long as you defeat me, you will be what you say. Hyuga Chen said with a big laugh. Episode 115, this is the first time I have seen Chen like this. It's really scary. Yamanaka Hai shivered, who was staying behind. Everyone has two sides, even multifaceted, and treats different people differently. Nara Shikaguya said softly. Hyuga Chen, you killed so many people, is there really no trace of guilt? Looking at the smile on Hyuga Chen's face, Third Raikage asked angrily. Guilt? Why do you want to be guilty? Do you have to be guilty if you crush a group of ants? Hyuga Chen asked back. Cloud Shinobi was instantly angry, and his eyes were extremely blood red. Hyuga Chen actually compared them to ants instead of treating them as human beings. Are you angry? Actually, in my eyes, you are the same as the flowers and plants on the roadside and the beasts in the deep jungle. I have never regarded you as human beings. Hyuga Chen said indifferently. Cloud Shinobi's eyes were bloodshot, and his anger and hatred had already rushed to the sky. If it weren't for some reason, he would rush to tear up Hyuga Chen. Rather than looking at me angrily, it's better to think about your current situation. I want to kill you, it's just a matter of flicking my fingers. Hyuga Chen said aloud. Third Raikage's eyes shrank, and he looked at Hyuga Chen vigilantly, for fear that Hyuga Chen would attack them again. But Third Raikage thought too much. Hyuga Chen directly relieved the rock giant, and then took Conan's hand and left. Thank me for my mercy. I will let you go today, otherwise you people will all die. Cloud Shinobi was so annoyed that he killed so many of them, so he shamelessly asked them to thank him. White teeth, do we still want to? Uchiha Sui motioned to Hatake Sakumo. Now is the best opportunity. You may not be able to ask him to take action next time. This time, I'd better be able to defeat Cloud Shinobi completely. Hatake Sakumo had a cold expression and slew towards Third Raikage with a sword. Ding! 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 Hatake Sakumo slashed several times in a row, all of them on Third Raikage, but it seemed as if they were on steel, and it didn't work at all. You want to kill me too, do you think you are Hyuga Chen? An angry Third Raikage vented all his anger on Hatake Shimo. Third Raikage's eyes were red, and even though he was severely injured by the rock giant, his bravery remained undiminished, and even became even more frantic because of his anger. Ignoring Hatake Sakumo's attack completely, he attacked Hatake Sakumo. His fist was faster than a punch. At the beginning, Hatake Sakumo could barely resist with the fighting consciousness. Afterwards, it gradually couldn't keep up. Third Raikage's attack speed was too fast. Even if the direction of the attack could be sensed, the body movements couldn't keep up and couldn't resist it. Third Raikage seized the opportunity and hit Hatake Sakumo several punches, breaking Hatake Sakumo's ribs. Fortunately, Third Raikage's injury is not light, and Hatake's speed is also his strong point, otherwise he may be beaten to death with his fist by the grumpy Third Raikage. Hatake Sakumo wiped the blood coughed up from the corner of his mouth, his face pale for a while. In the past, when facing other enemies, Hatake Sakumo only had to rely on Lei Shu to approach the opponent, and then use the white-toothed blade and the penetration of lightning style to instantly end the enemy's life. But now he is facing an untouchable Third Raikage, and the speed is not as fast as Third Raikage. Passive beating is certain. Third Raikage was a rock giant whose attack power was not worse than Susanu's complete body. He was a man who was able to stand upright with more than a dozen punches in a row. Hatake Sakumo's attack was not enough to see in front of him. Hatake Sakumo fell into the wind here, and on the other side, Konoha and Cloud Shinobi's battle also fell into the wind. The Morning Soldier will win, and the sad Cloud Shinobi put out 200% of his power, crazy, and Konoha's. The ninja desperately. Cloud Shinobi is crazy, they are not afraid of pain or death at all, they just want to bite a piece of meat on Konoha's body. They transferred all their hatred of Hyuga Chen to Konoha's other ninjas. The crazy appearance of Cloud Shinobi made Konoha's ninja fear in his heart, so he was still the opponent's opponent, being crushed and beaten crazy. I'm going, is there anything wrong with this? It's all like this, and still be beaten. Hyuga Chen gulped silently. Unexpectedly, he had already wiped out half of the opponent's combat power, and Konoha was actually crushed and beaten. This is a doe who can't support it. In this situation, should I make another move? Hyuga Chen thought, touching his chin. If you make a move, you just slap yourself in the face. I also said before that I would let them be merciful and pretend to be forced. Now I can't shoot them anymore and slap myself in the face. Isn't that reduced to a laughingstock? Although Hyuga Chen doesn't care about fame, he can't be so embarrassed. Chen, what are you doing in a daze? Our situation is very bad now. Hurry up. Yamanaka Hai shouted loudly. I just said that I want to let the other side a horse. Isn't I just hitting the face by myself? Although I am thick-skinned, I still have to face it. Hyuga Chen shook his head and said. When is it, do you still care about this? Yamanaka looked at Hyuga Chen speechlessly. How can I not care? I can only blame them for not being able to live up to it, they are already like this, and they were beaten up by being hung. Hyuga Chen said with contempt. Hey! Although you destroy half of Cloud Shinobi's power, Cloud Shinobi will not be much worse than Konoha even if you have half of it. Yamanaka vomited. It's just that the number of people is similar. As far as strength is concerned, Konoha is strong. Don't forget that the ninjas here are almost all ninjas of large families, all with blood inheritance and secret skills. The reason why Konoha has fallen into a disadvantage now is entirely because of his lack of aura. Nara Shikagia said with a wry smile. It is said that Konoha should be the strong side now, but because of the hatred in his heart, Cloud Shinobi relied on the momentum of not fearing life and death, and Konoha he was defeated steadily retreating. In fact, as long as you curb the momentum of Cloud Shinobi and let go of the tone in their hearts, they will definitely lose. Nara Lugio said with a gleam in his eyes. It depends on Chen. You don't need to act, just deter them. Nara Lugio looked at Hyuga Chen. Only Hyuga Chen can contain the momentum of Cloud Shinobi, because on the entire battlefield, only Hyuga Chen has the power to deter Cloud Shinobi. Okay. Looking at the three pairs of expectant eyes of Nara Shikahiza, Yamanaka Yuchi, and Akamichi Dinza, Hyuga Chen nodded and agreed. They are considered friends. Although Hyuga Chen treats stranger Hyuga Chen not very well, he treats friends quite well. As long as it is not an excessive request, Hyuga Chen will generally not refuse. Summoning Beast 5 Tails Kokuo. With a howl, the huge size of 5 Tails appeared on the battlefield. Although the chakra drawn by Hyuga Chen has not recovered, the shape is scary enough. Anyway, after 5 Tails appeared, the battle on the battlefield gradually stopped, all looking at the giant tail beast behind Konoha's troops. Episode 116. This is 5 Tails, why did 5 Tails appear here? Third Raikage looked at the roaring 5 Tails dumbfounded. Hatake Tsukumo's face was even more anxious. 5 tails appeared behind Konoha. If they attacked them, they would suffer heavy casualties. This is? Naruto was dumbfounded. This is my summoning beast, how about it? Not bad, right? Hyuga Chen said contentedly. Although 5 tails couldn't help at all in the real battle, the effect of pretending to be pretty good. Now Naruto and their expressions make Hyuga Chen very satisfied. Hyuga Chen picked up Konan and stood on top of 5 tails' head. 5 tails, a tail cannon is coming to the front. Hyuga Chen ordered to 5 tails. Facing the tone of Hyuga Chen's command, he was very upset, but he didn't dare to resist Hyuga Chen's command. Gather the tail beast chakra in a ratio of yin and yang of 2 to 8, and then form a high-speed rotating energy bomb. After the energy bomb is reduced, it is swallowed by 5 tails, and then ejected in a straight line. The tail beast cannon hits in the direction of Cloud Shinobi, and the speed has caused a sonic boom. Not good. Looking at the direction of the tail beast cannon, Third Reikage was shocked. 11. It was clear that they were attacking Cloud Shinobi. Third Reikage, who had seen the power of the tail beast cannon, knew that if they were hit by the tail beast cannon, their Cloud Shinobi would be killed and injured. Third Reikage was very decisive, rushing to the front in an instant, and collided with 5 tails tail beast cannon. After a stalemate, the tail beast cannon was finally blocked by Third Reikage. However, the explosion of the tail beast cannon still caused a lot of casualties to the closer Cloud Shinobi, and Third Reikage couldn't hold on, and fell to the ground. If it's the Third Reikage in its heyday, it will definitely be able to easily forge 5 tails tail beast cannons, and it won't be so embarrassing. But the current Third Reikage has been severely injured by the rock giant, and now it can block the tail beast cannon, but also relying on the perseverance in the heart. The tail beast cannon is the last straw that overwhelms Third Reikage. Hyuga Chen, despicable villain, can't you say anything? AI immediately came to Third Reikage's side and helped him up. Sneeze, you believe the enemy's words. You have to say that you are really naive, and I didn't make a shot. It was my summoning beast that shot. Hyuga Chen said with a sneer. How could 5 tails be your summoning beast? Third Reikage pushed away AI, who was supporting him, and stood in the middle of the battlefield with difficulty. Why should I tell you? Hyuga Chen yawned while sitting on 5 tails. Third Reikage's face was gloomy, and now he was caught in a dilemma. If you choose to continue the attack, there will be Hyuga Chen in front of the tiger. If you retreat, you must also guard against whether Hyuga Chen will attack them. Surrender. Do you feel that you Cloud Shinobi can still stick to it? Surrendering is the best choice for you. Hyuga Chen said lightly. Third Reikage was silent. He was unwilling to surrender like this. Surrendering is not just that simple, but the loser must be compensated. As long as there is no support, no one will choose to surrender, because they can't afford to hurt them. Looking at the indecisive Third Reikage, Hyuga Chen shook his head. People who can't see the facts are the stupidest. Knowing that there is no possibility of victory, I didn't rush to minimize the loss, but wanted to make a comeback. I didn't know if it was greedy enough or really stupid. Give you 2 choices, either surrender or die here. Hyuga Chen said flatly. Want to make a surrender, wishful thinking, is my Cloud Shinobi ninja dead in vain? AI shouted loudly. Do you think your voice is loud and you are awesome? Life and death, you choose yourself. Hyuga Chen glanced at the yelling AI with disdain, and said flatly. Third Reikage looked at Hyuga Chen, who looked indifferent, with a wry smile on his face. Seeing Hyuga Chen's current posture, do they have a choice? Choosing not to surrender and then smashing to the end with Hyuga Chen is impossible. The losses are more serious than surrendering. We Cloud Shinobi surrendered. Third Reikage sighed. At this time, Third Reikage was tall and strong, slightly rickety, and his figure was quite old. Father, are we just surrendering in such a desperate way, the hatred of the dead Cloud Shinobi brothers, can we just forget it? AI yelled unwillingly. Oh. Third Reikage sighed, and then said earnestly, AI, as the shadow of the village, we must focus on the overall situation. AI bowed his head and said nothing. He knew that the current situation was very clear. As long as Hyuga Chen shot, they had no room to fight back. Surrendering is the best choice now, but he is not reconciled and sacrificed so many people. When they came out, they were full of fighting spirit, but when they returned, they lost most of the ninjas who trusted them. This made him swallow this breath. There is no way to explain it to the villagers. Cloud Shinobi all lowered his head, and at the same time he was relieved, he was also very confused. The opposite was Konoha. They didn't expect Cloud Shinobi to surrender like this, but then it was ecstasy. Waving his arms, there was a burst of laughter, and even tears of excitement flowed out. The war for more than a year has made them hate the war. No one wants to see the brother who was still laughing and laughing in the last second, and then fall into eternal sleep in the next moment. People are yearning for benefits, and even at the same time they go to war because of benefits, they are afraid and loathing of war. It has to be said that human nature is the most contradictory. Now Cloud Shinobi surrendered, and even the white teeth, who had always been serious, showed a tired smile. Continuing to fight Cloud Shinobi, especially having to drag third Raikage, Hatake Sakumo is the most exhausted in this battlefield, and now Cloud Shinobi surrenders, which also made him breathe a sigh of relief. After third Raikage surrendered, he retreated with Cloud Shinobi, and then submitted the surrender agreement to Konoha the next day. Looking at the surrender agreement submitted by Cloud Shinobi, Hatake frowned. Although Cloud Shinobi surrendered, it did not intend to compensate Konoha much. The compensation was tens of millions of taels. It was simply a beggar. At most tens of millions is the material money for a small-scale war, which is nothing at all. This Cloud Shinobi is also too much, we must not let them go, and dare to threaten us. What if we go to war again? Uchiha said angrily. Cloud Shinobi finally said that if he didn't accept it, he would go to war again. It was too much. A loser would dare to threaten them. If you go to war again, you won't find me. Hyuga Chen glanced at the surrender book, then turned and left. Helping them to surrender Cloud Shinobi, Hyuga Chen is already in a good mood. If he fights with Cloud Shinobi again because of his interests, Hyuga Chen will not be a nanny. Episode 117, seeing Hyuga Chen leaving, the people in the camp were silent. If Hyuga Chen doesn't make a move, can they beat Cloud Shinobi? White Fang, you are the head coach commander here. Whether to accept the surrender or not is up to you to decide. Chief Nara said. Yes, you are the coach, we listen to you. You are the commander here, so make your decision. Everyone gave all the opportunity to make choices to Hatake Shumao. After all, Hatake Shumao is the coach here. This kind of undecided matter naturally makes Hatake Shumao decide. Hatake was also undecided, and after a long silence, he said, let's leave this to third Hokage to decide. After Hatake Sakumo finished speaking, everyone nodded. After that, Hatake quickly passed the news to Sarutobi Hiruzen, waiting for Sarutobi Hiruzen's decision. But these have nothing to do with Hyuga Chen. At this time, Hyuga Chen has now left the battlefield and appeared into Keenan village. The purpose is naturally for 7 taels, and now Hyuga Chen has stepped on the waste 7 taels. It's a waste. Hyuga Chen got the 7 taels chakra he wanted, and then 7 taels, who couldn't fly no matter lying on the ground, pulled Conan and turned away. Now Hyuga Chen has all the chakra from 3 taels and 6 taels in his hands. As long as the chakra of the 9-tailed beasts is gathered, Hyuga Chen can try to summon the dragon. It is an attempt to merge into 10 taels chakra. What? Hyuga Chen killed Cloud Shinobi's 3,000 ninjas. Now Cloud Shinobi is about to surrender. 5 taels is captured by Hyuga Chen as a summoning beast. Inoki stood up, his red rosacea became even more red, and his face was full of anger. 5 taels was grabbed and pulled by Hyuga Chen, and Inoki's heart was about to go wrong. The faces of 3rd Kazekage and Hanzo of the Salamander also became gloomy. What should I do now? Cloud Shinobi surrendered, what shall we do? Hanzo looked at the two and asked. Hanzo, you are also the leader of a village anyway. If you can always ask others about something, you can't use your own mind. What are you talking about? Are you scolding me for having no brains? Hanzo picked up the sickle next to him and stood up. The atmosphere on the scene solidified, and the aura of Inoki and Hanzo collided with each other. Enough, if you want to fight a fight, you can do whatever you want after the war, but now please focus on the overall situation. 3rd Kazekage stood up and stood in front of Inoki and Hanzo. If it weren't for Sand Shinobi's inability to withstand Konoha's pressure, 3rd Kazekage would not have done such a thankless thing, that is, Inoki and Hanzo played out their heads, and 3rd Kazekage would not take another look. But now they are grasshoppers on a rope. If Inoki and Hanzo really fight, their fragile alliance will also be dissolved, and Sand Shinobi will not be far away from surrendering. For Feng Ying's face, I will let you go today. Don't think that you have the title of a demigod to stare at me, but you are the leader of a small village. Oyemu said disdainfully. Others may be afraid of Hanzo, but he is not at all afraid. You have the ability to block my dust and see. You. Hanzo was holding the sickle and wanted to wave his hand, but 3rd Kazekage, who responded quickly, stopped Hanzo immediately. This is the headquarters, not the place where you quarreled. Now that the situation is so severe, you still have the heart to quarrel. Third Kazekage scolded. I know you look down on me, Rain Shinobi Village, thinking that we are a small village. Today I stopped doing Hanzo. Hanzo slapped the table and shouted loudly. Anyway, he was fed up with Hanzo here. These two guys are allies on the surface, but when did they give him a good face? In front of him all day long, arrogant look down. We are a small village, should be looked down upon by you. What are you talking about? Believe it or not, I will take Rock Shinobi to kill you, Rain Shinobi Village now. Inoki said with an angry face. Oh, kill me, Rain Shinobi Village, you are also worthy of you. You pretend to be forceful in front of me, if you really have the ability to pretend to be in front of Hyuga Chen. Hanzo sneered mockingly. Hanzo, don't go too far. Third Kazekage said coldly. I was too much? It is you who are too much. I took Rain Shinobi and left today. I see who of you dares to stop me. Hanzo's expression was cold, his eyes were murderous. Hanzo is known as the demigod of the shinobi world, and naturally there are a few brushes. With the poison of that body, ordinary people can't stop it. Hanzo, are you serious? Third Kazekage's face got worse. Yes, it's impossible to win in the current situation. We Rain Shinobi don't need to be cannon fodder for you. Hanzo is extremely determined. Every time they start a battle, Rain Shinobi is sent to be the vanguard, and Hanzo has long been dissatisfied. However, there was still hope of victory before. Hanzo could barely endure it, but now it is impossible to win. They Rain Shinobi withdrew as soon as possible. Preserving their strength is the best choice. Hanzo left without hesitation, no one stopped him. Inoki's previous talk of destroying Rain Shinobi Village is actually an angry word. If Rain Shinobi Village was easily destroyed, they would not have cooperated with Hanzo in the first place. The news of Rain Shinobi Village's withdrawal can't be concealed from Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was still hesitant, immediately agreed to Cloud Shinobi's surrender, allowing Hatake Sakumo to seize the time to rush to the battlefield of Rain Country and completely end the war. Then Sarutobi Hiruzen dispatched Orochimaru and Jiraiya to attack Rain Shinobi Village with 1,000 ninjas. Hanzo participated in this war. Of course, Sarutobi Hiruzen would not let him off easily. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't think about destroying Rain Shinobi Village, but wanted Hanzo to surrender and pay Konoha war compensation. Then Sarutobi Hiruzen took Konoha Shinobi and attacked Rock Shinobi and Sand Shinobi. Looking at the aggressive Konoha, Inoki, and Third Kazekage could only choose to avoid the sharp edges for a while. Rain Shinobi's withdrawal has dealt a great blow to Rock Shinobi and Sand Shinobi. Firstly, it was a blow to momentum, and secondly, it was a weakening of strength. Don't look at Rock Shinobi and Sand Shinobi as two villages, but there were too many ninjas killed by Hyuga Chen before, and now the two villages combined are almost the same as Konoha. Moreover, the Konoha Shinobi on the Cloud Shinobi battlefield will be liberated with the surrender of Cloud Shinobi, and it is estimated that they will arrive at the Rainy Kingdom battlefield in a few days. When Onogi and Third Kazekage saw this scene, they were so sad that their hair turned white. What to do? Are you going to surrender? Third Kazekage asked unwillingly. Inoki glanced at Third Kazekage dissatisfied. Did you surrender? Konoha will easily let you go, and Konoha's loss is not small. Even if you surrender, Konoha will bite you hard. It's not that I laughed at you, just because of your economic situation in Sand Shinobi Village, you can survive Konoha's mouthful of blood. Third Kazekage fell silent. Because of its geographic location, although the country of wind was the largest country, it was not rich at all. If Konoha Lion speaks loudly after they surrender, what will they do and resist? Episode 118, Third Kazekage, who had originally thought of surrendering, listened to Inoki's words and put away the thought of surrender in his heart. Inoki was also relieved, and finally flicked him. If Sand Shinobi surrendered, how would they Rock Shinobi fight Konoha? In the following days, Konoha fought against Rock Shinobi and Sand Shinobi. Although Konoha had the advantage, he could not win Rock Shinobi and Sand Shinobi. Hyuga Chen and Konan walked slowly towards the battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain. Suddenly, Hyuga Chen's footsteps stopped. Then Hyuga Chen grabbed Konan's hand, stepped into the space crack, and came to a dim space. Don't look stupid. Looking at Nawaki, who looked like a headless fly, Hyuga Chen said faintly. Nawaki turned his head abruptly, with a look of excitement in his eyes. Chen, why are you here? This is my space, of course I am here, let's go out first. Hyuga Chen put his hand on Nawaki's shoulder, and the other hand held Konan, stepping into the space crack again. Huh. It was so dim just now. It's better to be outside. Nawaki exhaled deeply. It was calculated? Almost dead? Hyuga Chen asked. If it weren't for Nawaki's life-threatening situation, it wouldn't touch Gao Tianyuan's mark of space at all. Nawaki's expression was immediately ugly, and his voice was a little low and said, "Why would Konoha's people shoot at me?" When he was transporting supplies in the rear, he was stabbed by his own people. At that time, Nawaki was shocked and cold. "It's normal. I'm also from Konoha, didn't I still stab the sword and kill the ninjas of the Sarutobi and Shimura families?" Hyuga Chen said disapprovingly. Nawaki opened his mouth and looked at Hyuga Chen silently. If it was before, Nawaki would definitely accuse Hyuga Chen loudly, but now he cannot say what he accuses. "You kid, save your life now, don't go back to Konoha village, or I won't save you a second time," Hyuga Chen said, patting Nawaki on the shoulder. "Me? What? Do you want to go back and do your Naruto? Even if I don't go back to Konoha village, where can I go?" Nawaki said in confusion, "His home is in Konoha, where can I go without Konoha?" Hyuga Chen looked at Nawaki, then stroked his chin. To be honest, Hyuga Chen doesn't know where Nawaki is going. His strength is also the elite Chunin. This strength is in the chaotic world of ninja, even self-protection is not easy. Why don't you find a remote place first and improve your strength first? If you are strong, you can go wherever you want, and it's okay to go back to Konoha. Hyuga Chen suggested after thinking for a while. The strength of Nawaki, the chicken, can only be this way, otherwise, even if he returns to Konoha, he will never come out in the village, and he will definitely be in danger. The guy Danzo, even if Nawaki is in the village, he dare to attack him. But the village? Stop it. The village is going to kill you. At this time, the village is still fart, go by yourself. I will take Tsunade to see you when I have time. Hyuga Chen waved his hand to Nawaki. Anyway, Nawaki has the space coordinates left by Hyuga Chen, and he is not afraid of losing him. After hesitating for a long time, Nawaki finally chose to listen to Hyuga Chen, but did not return to Konoha. He still cared about Konoha's people and hurt him. He must find out who instigated him in the future. Had it not been for Hyuga Chen's transcribed seal, Nawaki would have been stabbed to death by his own back. Even though he loves the village so much, he can't stand this situation. Nawaki's nature is kind. For other people, they may already want to kill and get revenge. Seeing Nawaki leave, Hyuga Chen also pulled Konan away. Although Nawaki is weak, the elite Chunin's strength, as long as he doesn't kill himself, usually nothing will happen. After playing all the way, it took more than 10 days before Hyuga Chen took Konan to the battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain slowly. After seeing Hyuga Chen, both Third Hokage and Danzo looked pale, and their expressions wanted to eat him. Unexpectedly, it was such an honor for me, a little jonin, that Third Hokage would come to greet him personally. Hyuga Chen said with a smile. This time Cloud Shinobi was able to surrender, thanks to Hyuga Jonin. Third Hokage said without a smile. Hyuga Chen, let me ask you, how did the Sarutobi clan and our Shimura clan die? Danzo's tone was even worse. After Danzo finished the question, the atmosphere fell silent, no one spoke, all looked at Hyuga Chen. On the battlefield, it's normal for a few people to die. Does Danzo need to make such a fuss as an assistant? Hyuga Chen said flatly. Danzo was choked and speechless, angry and annoyed in his heart. Can he refute it? Just like Hyuga Chen said, it's normal for people to die on the battlefield, but when thousands of people die, it's their two families who are all TM. Is this normal? All of this is Danzo's assisting leadership. Your Shimura family members are not afraid of death. I tried desperately to stop them, but I didn't stop them. As a result, all Shimura family members died in battle. I feel very guilty about this. However, Hyuga Chen said guilt, but there was no guilt expression on his face, and he even smiled. Ignoring the ugly Third Hokage and Danzo on his face, Hyuga Chen walked towards Tsunade and Mikoto. Pulling Tsunade and they left, they didn't care about Sarutobi Hiruzen or the face of the Konoha ninja who came to meet them. This Hyuga Chen is too arrogant. Ignore us at all. After all, he is a teenage boy, and he doesn't understand a bit of politeness. I thought he could become Hokage before. Now he doesn't seem worthy at all. It's just a bit of strength, and he doesn't put anyone in my eyes. I don't think he can become a magnificent. Konoha's Jonin talked a lot. Just now, Hyuga Chen didn't look at them straight, which made them very unhappy. Now seeing Hyuga Chen walk away, he began to vent his dissatisfaction. Damn it, I'm going to beat them up. Kushina was angry and clenched my fist. WWH, 2. Mikoto next to him, 3 Goyu Jade appeared in his eyes. This group of bastards is a bit too much. Tsunade frowned slightly. You don't have to worry about a group of ants. It doesn't make much sense. It will only lower your identity. Hyuga Chen shook his head and said. They only talk about others behind their backs, and these people have a good life in this life, and Hyuga Chen doesn't look down on them at all. Back in the small earthen house built by Hyuga Chen looked at Tsunade and said, Nawaki has left. Huh? Huh? Tsunade nodded subconsciously, and then reacted after hearing Hyuga Chen's words clearly, and looked at Hyuga Chen questioningly. After that, Hyuga Chen gave a general overview of Nawaki's experience. In fact, Hyuga Chen only knew a rough idea, and Nawaki didn't say anything about the specific situation. After Hyuga Chen finished speaking, Tsunade was angry and smashed the extremely strong wall with a punch. I'm going to third generation for an explanation. Tsunade was about to go out angrily. Hyuga Chen reached out and pulled Tsunade back. What do you want to explain? You don't have any evidence to prove that it was made by the senior Konoha. If you go, you will go for nothing. Hyuga Chen said softly. Episode 119, Don't forget it, Nawaki almost died. When my grandma was dying, she told me to take good care of Nawaki. Nawaki almost died this time, this matter must never be forgotten. Tsunade said angrily. Tsunade did not expect that Konoha would really dare to attack Nawaki. Fortunately, there was the means left by Hyuga Chen, otherwise Tsunade would blame himself for a lifetime. The more Tsunade thought, the more mad, and finally couldn't help it, and ran to Sarutobi Hiruzen angrily to ask for an explanation. Hyuga Chen looked at Tsunade angrily and followed. Running to the Konoha main camp headquarters, Tsunade asked Sarutobi Hiruzen angrily, Third generation, what's the matter with Nawaki? Third generation was taken aback for a moment, and then said sadly. Do you know everything? Oh. I was afraid that you would be sad, but I wanted to hide it from you. Nawaki is a good boy, but unfortunately, he was unlucky and was attacked by Sand Shinobi in the rear. Unfortunately, he died. Haha, Tsunade sneered mockingly. If she didn't know the specifics, she might still believe the rhetoric of third generation, but now hearing this rhetoric, it feels like listening to a joke. This rhetoric, it should waste a lot of your brain cells. Tsunade said coldly. Huh? Third Hokage was taken aback. I'll ask you again, what the hell is going on? Who is going to kill Nawaki, does it have anything to do with you? Tsunade lowered her head, making her face blind. Tsunade, don't you get me wrong? Why would anyone want to kill Nawaki? Heh, Tsunade laughed. If third generation tells everything directly, Tsunade might forgive him, but now. Tsunade clenched his fist and hit third Hokage, so fast that he couldn't dodge it. Boom. Third Hokage received a punch from Tsunade in the front and was knocked out. The ribs on his chest were broken into several pieces. Tsunade, you dare to attack Naruto. The ninja guarding third Hokage was taken aback for a moment before reacting, and took out his ninja and looked at Tsunade vigilantly. Tsunade's attack was so sudden that even third Hokage did not react, let alone the guarded ninjas. You better sleep quietly for a while. Hyuga Chen behind Tsunade glanced at them, and a group of illusions brought all these ninjas down. Third generation, the mentorship between us, today is completely over. Tsunade said coldly, and then pulled Hyuga Chen around and left. Sarutobi Hiruzen got up in pain and said nothing. He knew that Tsunade had kept his hand this time. If he attacked with all his strength, he would have gone to the former movie for tea. But now, Tsunade has completely severed the relationship between him and his apprentice, which is also a blow to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Danzo, ahem. Ahem. Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't blame Danzo either, because he had already acquiesced to Danzo's behavior before. Thank you, Chen, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't know how to face Grandma even if I died. Thank you for the relationship between us? Would you like to meet Nawaki? After thinking about it for a while, Tsunade shook his head, forget it, Nawaki is disobedient. Let him keep his memory this time, quietly think about it, and visit him later. 3 years have passed. Hyuga Chen has also been playing soy sauce on the battlefield for 3 years. In these 3 years, he has not killed an enemy. The same is true for Tsunade. She was completely disappointed with Konoha, but she just helped Konoha out of the shadow-level puppet master Chiyo, which is considered to be the last effort for Konoha. Kushina and Mikoto are the same as Hyuga Chen, they are the soy sauce trio on the battlefield. In the past 3 years, Hyuga Chen's physical fitness and chakra have exploded, and his combat effectiveness has also increased linearly. In 3 years, what Hyuga Chen has studied most is Tenseigan's ability to control time. In 3 years, Hyuga Chen has also achieved considerable results. Now Hyuga Chen can instantaneously accelerate the time within a radius of 50 meters for several decades, and it can also make the time within 5 meters around him flow back 10 seconds. This is already very powerful. Time acceleration can instantly deprive the opponent of decades of time, and time backwards is the strongest life-saving skill. As long as you use the time flow backwards, in addition to the consumed pupil power, regardless of the injury, or the consumed chakra and physical strength, all can return to the state 10 seconds ago. Finally, Hyuga Chen attaches great importance to time stop. This is the key to immortality, and it is also the most researched by Hyuga Chen. After Hyuga Chen's unremitting efforts, it is true that the time of an object can be suspended forever, but the suspended object cannot move, and it has always maintained the posture when the time was suspended. But there is no such thing as a fart, and everything is suspended and frozen. What is the difference between that and death? In the past 3 years, in addition to studying time ability, Hyuga Chen has studied how to live forever. In fact, studying time ability is also for immortality. After finally passing through it, and gaining a powerful force, Hyuga Chen is definitely not willing to turn into a touch of less 100 years later. So I must find a way to pursue immortality, and my desire for immortality is no less than Orochimaru. In the past 3 years, Hyuga Chen has come up with 3 ways to achieve immortality. One of them is to rely on the ability of time to freeze his own time flow without affecting his own life activities. The other is like Otsutsuki Yoruchi, eating the fruit of the sacred tree, and then becoming 10 tails, gaining the power of immortality. The last one is the system. Immortality is just a trivial matter to the system. There are many items in the system store. There are so many items that can increase life expectancy and obtain immortality. Unfortunately, Hyuga Chen can't exchange it. Among these 3 methods, Hyuga Chen is still more inclined to the first one, and the second method can only make himself immortal. This is the first to be abandoned by Hyuga Chen. Go to the system to redeem items that increase lifespan, but Hyuga Chen cannot afford to redeem it. So the first method is the best. Although it is still unsuccessful now, Hyuga Chen has found the problem. The understanding of time is not enough, and Tenseigan's pupil power is not enough. As long as these 2 problems are solved, Hyuga Chen estimates that people can live forever. The understanding of time needs to take time. This is not anxious. Now Hyuga Chen can only work on Tenseigan's pupil power, and the increase of Tenseigan's pupil power will also allow Hyuga Chen to understand time better. Although Hyuga Chen's pupil power is almost infinite, it is only close. In fact, it is quite different. There are 3 ways to increase pupil power. One is to increase the strength to 6 levels, then Tenseigan's pupil power will naturally skyrocket, forming a qualitative leap. The second is to grow slowly by yourself, but this takes a lot of time. The third method is to plunder and absorb the pupil power of other people, and then strengthen one's pupil power. Among these 3 methods, Hyuga Chen did not hesitate to choose the third, which is the most likely to be accomplished by Hyuga Chen in a short time. Episode 120. But if you want to plunder the pupil power, you must have an object, like the kind of 3-tomo Sharingan. Hyuga Chen doesn't like it at all. At least Mangekyo Sharingan is needed to be admired by Hyuga Chen, and it is not possible to increase Tenseigan's pupil power with 1 or 2 pairs of Mangekyo. It is estimated that at least hundreds of pairs of Mangekyo will be effective. Even if the Uchiha clan is sold, there will not be so many Mangekyo Sharingan. Except for Mangekyo Sharingan, only Rinnegan of Uchiha Madara can be captured. Hyuga Chen's eyes are shining. He doesn't care who's Rinnegan, as long as it works for him, it's his. For the sake of my immortality, it seems that I have to start with Madara's eyes. Hyuga Chen looked at the rain country, his eyes twinkling. Lifting his head and sweeping across the sky, Hyuga Chen looked at the full moon in the night sky. Today is the night of the full moon. Compared with the moon a few years ago, the moon now has a gap and is not so round anymore. Why forgot about this? Hyuga Chen patted his head. Looking at the moon in the night sky, Hyuga Chen seemed to see Tenseigan beckoning to himself. I don't know if the huge Tenseigan was made. If I didn't make it, I wouldn't mind making the huge Tenseigan myself. Hyuga Chen said silently, with light flowing in his eyes. Taking a deep breath, for the sake of safety, Hyuga Chen did not choose to go to the moon now. 1 year later, when my physical strength is at its peak, it will be the day I land on the moon, so cherish this year's time. Hyuga Chen squinted his eyes and looked at the moon in the sky with a murderous look in his eyes. If the huge Tenseigan has been created, Hyuga Chen will snatch it over. If the huge Tenseigan has not been created, Hyuga Chen will kill people and gug his eyes and make the huge Tenseigan himself. Regardless of whether the giant Tenseigan is made or not, the Otsutsuki clan on the moon will be in disaster because they are being targeted by a terrifying demon king. The ruthless Hyuga Chen will not show mercy to the Otsutsuki clan on the moon, and they have only one way to destroy. What are you looking at? The eyes are scary. Kushina reached out and pushed him. After being pushed, Hyuga Chen came back to his senses, the murderous intent in his eyes disappeared, and then he stretched out his hand and pinched Kushina's pretty nose. Don't pinch my nose. Kushina took away Hyuga Chen's hand and said. Mikoto made a midnight snack, would you like to eat it? I was full at dinner, but Mikoto made it all. Wouldn't it be a waste if I didn't eat it? If you want to eat, just say it. Why do you want to go around such a big circle? I really don't understand you. Kushina looked at Hyuga Chen contemptuously. Hyuga Chen reached out and tapped Kushina's head lightly, then smiled lightly and said, what do you know? Just know it knocks on my head. Kushina curled her mouth unhappy, stretched out her hand and squeezed Hyuga Chen's waist. Hyuga Chen smiled helplessly, Kushina really doesn't like to suffer at all. Entering the room, Tsunade, Mikoto, and Konan were already sitting at the table and waiting. Hyuga Chen came over and sat down, then picked up the sake on the table, poured himself a glass, and drank it in one sip, which was very sweet. What did you do outside? Is it because you were thinking of a pretty girl? Tsunade said jokingly. Oh. How did you know Tsunade? Hyuga Chen looked at Tsunade in shock. What? You really think of a little girl for my old lady? Tsunade stood up and looked at Hyuga Chen fiercely. Mikoto, who was originally smiling softly, was enveloped in black air at this time, and a pair of extremely terrifying eyes stared at Hyuga Chen tightly. Kushina, who was following Hyuga Chen, had her hair floating. Even Konan, who was sitting at the table without talking, couldn't help pouting and looked at Hyuga Chen dissatisfied. A drop of cold sweat came out of Hyuga Chen's head. He didn't expect a joke to be taken seriously. Of course the little girl I think is you. Hyuga Chen said with a big smile. Tsunade regained his momentum, then sat down. Mikoto returned to her gentle smile again, as if nothing had happened. Kushina's floating hair also fell, and Konan, who was sitting at the table, also showed a sweet smile. You can talk. Kushina smiled. What is talking? I don't want you to think about who. Do you still think I will miss other women? Am I that kind of person? Hyuga Chen said angrily. The three Tsunade girls, including Konan, all looked at Hyuga Chen with contempt, which made Hyuga Chen a little embarrassed. Who are you? Don't you have any compelling numbers in your own heart? Tsunade looked at Hyuga Chen with contempt. Chen, you are very lustful, and you have been a pervert since you were a kid. I remember that on the first day of school, you molested me. Mikoto told him about the incident when he first entered school, which attracted a lot of women to crusade him. Big pervert, I was a perverted pervert when I was a child. Kushina despised Hyuga Chen. It turns out that Brother Chen was a pervert since he was a child. It's terrible. Konan showed a scared expression. Faced with the ridicule of the women, Hyuga Chen said indifferently, man. Is there something wrong with S***X? Is something wrong with perversion? What's wrong with pervert? What's wrong with pervert? I'm proud. It's not just a pervert, but this face is unmatched. Tsunade said silently. The thickness of this skin, I am afraid that he can't penetrate it himself. The strongest defense doesn't mean Chen's skin, right? I have a thick skin, why can't I feel it? I don't even have a face. Where is the skin? Hyuga Chen said shamelessly. Now the girls are speechless, looking at their faces as thick as a city wall. They are not right. It is Hyuga Chen who is shameless at all, they can only say one word, serve. Looking at the daughters who admired him, Hyuga Chen triumphed. I actually said that I was thick-skinned, and I didn't want my face anymore. What do you guys say about my thick-skinned? The girls are even more speechless, don't understand what is so proud of 2.2, is it such a glorious thing to be shameless? Face is important when you care about it, and it is useless garbage when you don't care. Hyuga Chen said with a smile. Anyway, we can't do you so shameless. Kushina groaned. Eating and eating, if you don't do anything, I will eat it all. Hyuga Chen reminded. There was not much to do for supper, and Hyuga Chen didn't delay eating while talking. Now a half of it has entered Hyuga Chen's stomach. You don't want to eat anymore, save us some. Kushina said angrily as she looked at the snacks that had disappeared nearly half of the table. Hyuga Chen laughed and said, who makes you just talk?